Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we are in my element. So we're out of the kitchen and we are in the lovely woods. These woods are about 30 minutes drive from my house, and it's a perfect little loop for training and practicing cross-country racing. Today I'm bringing you my top 4 cross-country training and racing tips. 2 of them are going to be about specifically training, how you should train for cross-country racing, and 2 of them are more race day tips. So the 4 things we're going to be talking about today are starts, the importance of warm-ups. The 3rd tip is going to be about conserving and preserving momentum, and then lastly we're going to be talking about why you should be training in a fatigued state on a cross-country course. Tip number 1 is starts. So one of the biggest efforts that you'll do in a cross-country mountain bike race, unlike road racing, is right at the start, in the start of the race. It's essentially a sprint for the first minute and you go straight into the red. And there's a lot of emphasis and a lot of reason for why you need to go so hard at the start of a race, and that's to put yourself in a position where you're not stuck behind slow riders and be compromised through technical sections. So it's really important to get a good start, and thus you need to practice your starts to try and get good at them. Now practice comes perfect, so you need to do them as much as you possibly can. And yeah, in the cross-country season, realistically, trying to get in at least 1 session a week where you're dialing starts in the kind of main body of the session. A typical session where you might be practicing starts is just to get on a hill similar to this, or a bit of a flat, steady rise, and to literally simulate your start. So unclipping with 1 foot, getting in that ready position, feathering your brakes or covering your brakes, getting in that attack position with your elbows out, looking ahead, and then on the count of 3, clipping in and setting off, pushing as hard as you can, getting in that attack position. And it's really important that you emphasize the intensity for that first 30 seconds to a minute to make a session which is involved around starts. Because the intensity of a cross-country race is so front-loaded and it's very hard off the start, this leads us swiftly on to point number 2, which is you need to make sure that you warm up effectively and efficiently for the start of the race. There is no point going to a cross-country race with an ineffective warm-up, because you'll just blow up after the first lap. Your legs will feel shocking. So not only do you need some steady state riding for 10-15 minutes beforehand, which could include your pre-race course recce, but also you need to inflict some intensity in there as well. You need to mimic the kind of intensity that you're going to be doing in the race itself. So typically this might be 1 easy lap of the course, 1 harder lap with some kind of race pace efforts, and then after that you might do some kind of efforts at 30 seconds to a minute duration, which will be at or slightly above race pace to simulate what is to come in the race itself. Tip number 3, or the 3rd consideration, is to preserve and maintain momentum as much as you possibly can. Cross-country racing is not all about just pedaling more or pushing harder on the pedals, and if you can conserve a little bit of energy by using your body weight to manipulate the bike and using your skills a bit more as opposed to just pedaling more, then you're always going to be in a better position, and you'll be preserving more energy for when it matters. So the obvious point to this is that you need to practice more, you need to ride your bike more. You can't be sat on the turbo trainer all winter and then expect to go into a cross-country race and perform well, because you need to be able to apply that power and apply the strength in the technical way which cross-country leads. So you need to get yourself on a trail and you need to practice those skills. A very good example is on a trail like this. So the trail that I'm sat on now is quite undulating, it's not very steep, it goes down the side of a valley, and there's lots of little berms, lots of little areas which I can really push into, use my body weight to try and keep that speed as much as possible. So rather than braking into a corner and then accelerating out of it, I'm looking, preempting the line choices and trying to conserve as much momentum as possible through this section, pedaling as little as possible and keeping as much speed as I can, keeping the flow. So one of the big parts of cross-country racing is being able to be technically savvy, be technically good when you are in a fatigued or compromised state. A lot of mountain bike riders can all ride a technical descent fairly skillfully, fairly well, but the key element to cross-country racing is that you may have just done a hard climb and you may be a bit dazed, you may be out of breath, and you've still got to navigate these technical descents in that state. So one key point, which is our next tip number 4, is to do these technical descents in training when you are in this compromised state, when you are tired. And this is why finding a cross-country loop like this is perfect. We've got a very hard climb, which I can push myself on and I can put myself in the red. And then I have to navigate this technical descent when I'm out of breath and when I'm a bit blurry-eyed and so on. So this is why this loop is perfect, and I'm going to put in some laps now, going hard up the climb and then navigating this technical descent in that compromised state. Right, that concludes the video. Thank you very much for watching. That was the top 4 XC racing tips. We had starts, we had warm-ups, we had descents, and we had conserving and preserving momentum. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel, and if you've got any recommendations for future videos, drop them in the comments. Thank you, and see you again next time.